Mama of the Port Mafia by alexmeg. Summary. When Atsushi is de-aged, Dazai drops him off at Chuuya's on his day off. In the process, Chuuya learns that there was something very wrong with Atsushi's childhood and does his best to give him the care he was missing, all the while dealing with the troubling discovery that people call him Mama of the Port Mafia behind his back. Trigger warnings for past child abuse. And you know the drill with Atsushi's childhood and whatnot. So stay safe, everyone. Are you fucking kidding me? Chuuya hisses. You want me to babysit a de-aged version of your agency, tiger brat, now? Well, yeah, Chibi, please. We're all so swamped with our missions, and Chuuya has the day off, right? How do you even know about that? I sure as hell didn't tell you. Dazai smoothly continues as if uninterrupted. And Chuuya is the only one I can trust with him. Chuuya stops short at that from his next shout bout. Trust is the magic word, it seems. I'm just not good with kids. Dazai says, now a bit more serious, putting his hands in his tank coat pockets and looking at him with those imploring puppy eyes that always gets Chuuya to give in to his stupid little whims. Even if that's acting like a damn rich girl with her toes inward to make him laugh. And you think I am? He does not want to remember his time in the sheep. He does not want to. He tried so hard, but he just wasn't fucking good enough. Chuuya's better than me. There's a slight whine to Dazai's voice. Chuuya is the... They are diverted by a sound, a scuff of feet, both going silent. When Chuuya makes the mistake of glancing over to find a trembling and small white-haired boy in the doorway with a stuffed tiger clutched to his chest, his big grey eyes fearfully fixated on him. His resolve falters even more. Shit, how long has the kid been standing there, listening to him go on and on about not wanting to take him? He grits his teeth and leans close to Dazai's face, keeping his voice low as he pokes him hard in the chest. Fine. But you owe me big time, bastard. I was really looking forward to enjoying my day off. Dazai gasps over-dramatically with a hand to his chest. Chuuya shouldn't swear in front of Atsushi's tiny ears, or he'll grow up with a sailor's mouth like you. Whatever. Chuuya waves him away as he walks towards Atsushi. Come on, kid. Let's get you something to eat. Atsushi does not move to follow him. His legs are shaking. He runs over to Dazai and flings himself at his knees, gripping them tight. Huh? Why would he be clinging to him like that? Dazai wouldn't even know what to do with a child hugging. Dazai gently untangles his small hands from his trousers and kneels before him, not letting them go. His eyes have gone gentle. It's alright, little one. I'll be back to check on you as soon as I get the time, okay? I promise Chuuya will take very good care of you. I know he looks scary, Chuuya scoffs, but he's really just a tiny slug who wouldn't be able to resist a cute little face like yours. He grins and bops Atsushi's small nose. Earlier. Dazai was the first person Atsushi saw after he de-aged as a result of an ability. He knew what Atsushi must have gone through around this age. Is it 4? 5? Seeing him so tiny puts things into a bit more perspective as to how traumatizing it must have been. Dazai wasn't all that much older either. In the vague memories he has of his parents locking him up in the basement, starving him and beating him, but at least he barely retained any of those memories, even if that's only due to an effect of the trauma. Atsushi, Dazai knows, remembers. He remembers all of it in vivid detail. That's why it still has the power to haunt him daily, in flashbacks, nightmares. So Dazai knows how scared Atsushi must be, which is why he makes sure to keep his face as kind and gentle as he possibly can when he kneels down before him and speaks to him. He doesn't really know what to say or do. He's never been good with kids. That's more Kunikida or Chuuya's thing, so he tries to channel them in his demeanor. I'm Dazai, Dazai says, holding his hand out for him. Osamu Dazai. I bet you're really scared right now, huh, Atsushi-kun? It's okay. I'll keep you safe, okay? Would Atsushi even believe him though, him being a complete stranger right now? Technically, he shouldn't be. But well, something pangs in his chest. Ah, so he feels today. when Atsushi's wide grey eyes stare at him in watery wonder before toddling the few steps between them. One big step of Dazai's is equal to 5 steps for Atsushi's very tiny legs. He's so tiny. He's still swaddled in his old shirt, basically tripping the last few steps into Dazai's instinctually open arms to catch him, his fingers touching Atsushi's back while Atsushi's arms wrap tightly around his neck. How sad that he trusts so easily anyone that shows him even the slightest of kindness. After that, Atsushi clings to Dazai all throughout the day. Kenji pats his head a little, smiling in a friendly way, talking to him, and Naomi and Yosano are cooing over him, Yosano's nose crunching up in a small grin as she is booping Atsushi's nose. Naomi holds her arms out, asking if he might come to her, but Atsushi doesn't seem to want to let Dazai go at all. Rampao offers him some of his candy, and Kyoka looks like she wants to kill anyone that harms him. Dazai thought he'd mind it more to have a runt just hanging on to him all day long, but strangely, he doesn't. As a matter of fact, it's rather excellent to see Kunikida's face going red with frustration and anger to see Dazai just lazing about, holding Atsushi to his chest, because Dazai has the perfect excuse to not be able to do any work while Kunikida can't yell at him because it would so scare sweet little Atsushi. And is it just him, or is it oddly healing to have a small, fragile person cuddling with him like this and feeling safe around him? But of course, this can't go on for long. They find some leads of the de-aging ability user, and they need Dazai to nullify the ability so all the victims can go back to normal. Luckily, from his surveillance on Chuuya by hacking into the Port Mafia cameras, so he likes to spy on his husband a little. Sue him! How is he not supposed to think about Chuuya 24/7 and wonder what he's doing right this minute? He knows Chuuya is having the day off, and who else is better for the job than the mama of the Port Mafia? An hour before his break, just before he plans to leave for Chuuya's apartment, Dazai gets bored and decides to swipe Kunikida's card off and sneak Atsushi out of work to buy him some toys. Aw, you must be so bored, Atsushi-kun. But Atsushi is a very quiet boy, abnormally well-behaved and polite. Well, not so unlike his teenager self, really, although at least he grows up to have a bit more fire. Atsushi as a child is so docile that it doesn't sit well at all. Dazai carries him on his shoulders. He's pretty tall, so he imagines it must feel like Atsushi's sitting on top of the world. Unlike if, Dazai snickers at the image, Chuuya were doing it. That would just feel like he's level with the ground. Instead of holding his knees, Dazai has his arms raised so he could hold the child's hands high and a bit apart, like the wings of an airplane. It's probably a bit more thrilling that way for his little mentee, to not be so fully secured in and a bit more on edge, as he is jogging in a zigzag, still making sure to not make any too swift or harsh turns. Nobody sees the small smile on his face, hearing Atsushi's uncontrollable giggles above him. Atsushi is clearly not so used to shopping, especially not when the shopping is for him. Dazai has to hold his hands as they walk through the aisles, leading him to the toys he thinks Atsushi might like, but he never tells Dazai what he likes. So he has to take the toys off the shelves and show it to him and ask, "Do you like this? What about this?" Sometimes Atsushi nods, somewhat guarded and uncertain. Sometimes he doesn't respond and just stares down at it, which Dazai takes to mean he doesn't really like it. But when he sees the stuffed tiger, Dazai skips over and takes it off, shaking it in front of Atsushi's face. "What about this?" At that, Atsushi smiles, so slight it's almost imperceptible, but then he touches the tiger softly with his fingers. Dazai grins at him. He thinks, "I would buy the whole shop for you if I thought it would make you happy. And if I had the money. Or, well, if Kunikida did." Dazai is quite surprised by this surge of affection. He did not think he would ever feel so much for any child, ever. He has never even wanted any of his own. But Atsushi's quite the sweet kid, as a child or a teen. It's hard not to care about him. Now, Chuuya realizes something is very, very wrong when Atsushi accidentally swipes the bowl of cereal off the table by trying to clamber onto the chair but was too short to do so efficiently. Atsushi is now standing there, drained of color and shaking, his tiny fists clenched onto the hem of his shirt, as if to comfort or ground himself. He is staring right at Chuuya, his lower lip wobbling. He sobs, shallow and hitched, and quickly drops to his knees, his face lowering to the spilled milk and cereal and broken bits of ceramic. What the fuck? Atsushi, stop! Get away from there! Chuuya is there across the room in seconds, and Atsushi is so startled he has frozen, though he is still trembling, staring at him wide-eyed. Atsushi, he says, softer. He has slowed his steps. He has seen this kind of terror before, from one of the youngest kids in the sheep. He can't go to him too fast or make any loud sounds. Hey, kid, what are you doing, huh? Cleaning, Atsushi whispers. I'll clean it, I promise. Shit, no fucking way someone made him do that. Fuck, he's so small. Chuuya knew a little girl in the sheep named Aya, whose parents had been brutal, absolutely despicable people, and left such similar imprints on her behavior. She was only 6. He does now what he used to do then. He sits down on his haunches at a safe distance and lets Atsushi come to him if he wants. He talks softly. He does whatever he can to make himself kind and careful and light. Can you take my hand? Chuuya asks, holding his hand out. Atsushi looks down at it, his eyes wet and big. It takes him a long moment, staring down at it, and then up at Chuuya. Chuuya keeps his face as relaxed as he can, waiting patiently. Atsushi takes his gloved hand. Chuuya's nearly covering it whole as he carefully pulls him a little to the side, leads him around the mess and towards himself. Careful of the pieces. Alright, that's good, Atsushi. He draws him to a stop in front of him, where Chuuya is sitting on his haunches. Who made you do that? Atsushi doesn't answer right away. His hands come up to fidget with the hem of his shirt, biting his lip uncertainly. Headmaster, he finally whispers. Headmaster. Right. Chuuya just remembered that the kid came from some orphanage. Must have been one of those real shitty ones then. So Chuuya might be wanting to evacuate an orphanage of kids and burn it down. You didn't do anything wrong, Chuuya tells him calmly, even though he's not entirely sure if he's even saying anything right, but he feels himself slipping easily into his sheep persona, taking care of kids, using simpler, kinder words. You're allowed to make mistakes. Break a few bowls of cereal, you know? Just be a kid. And hey, tell you what, that jerk Dazai's always making a mess around here. And sure, I yell at him a lot like you saw me do, but that's just because he's a grown-up and he does it especially to make me mad. He adds that just because he doesn't want Atsushi to see him as some guy with an explosive temper that might do the same to him. But you, I'm not gonna get angry at you for anything you do, got it? You don't have to do stuff like this, ever. I don't want to hurt you, and I don't want you to do anything that's gonna hurt you. Got it? The nod that comes in response is slow and delayed, not yet fully trusting, but getting there. Now let's get you changed out of those clothes, Chuuya says, brushing off the drying milk on Atsushi's shirt. I'm gonna pick you up now, is that alright? Atsushi nods, this time much less delayed. Chuuya grips him by the underarms and lifts him up, fitting him into the side of his waist. Chuuya sees just how starved for affection the kid is when he is in the bath, his hands shampooing the silver hair, and Atsushi is leaning into it tentatively. So tentatively, it's as if he is afraid Chuuya would notice and push him away. Chuuya brushes a hand through the silver hair a few more times for good measure, just to make sure the shampoo's really in there, of course. Sitting him onto the bed after he's dressed, Chuuya pulls up his socks for him, since it's almost winter and floors are cold. It's then that Atsushi asks him in a very small, whispery voice. Are you my mama? Chuuya freezes and tries not to visibly choke. Am I your what? He barely stops himself from blurting. Dazai-san said you're my mama, but not like my real mama, just my for now mama. He said he can be my for now papa. That shitty bastard. Atsushi is looking at him very hopefully. Ah, an orphan desperate for parents, even if they're just for now. It's really not worth hurting his feelings. Yeah. I'm gonna kill you, Dazai. Yeah, I'm your for now, mama. I'm gonna fucking kill you. A call in the evening from Dazai updates Chuuya on the situation. The ability user has been nullified and locked up, but Atsushi is still a child, quietly playing on the rug with his toys next to Chuuya. Chuuya tells Dazai it didn't work. It becomes clear that the ability acts like a drug in the blood system. Questioning the ability user reveals that it will go away in a few days. Dazai shows up after work around dinner with his hands full of shopping bags, more clothes, toys, and food for Atsushi. Chuuya only has to eye the sheer numbers of items once before he is quickly checking his pockets. Sure enough, his wallet's gone, and this fucker is treading on thin ice now when it comes to Chuuya's patience. "Look what Papa's got you, little one!" Dazai yells excitedly. Oh, this poor, poor kid. Chuuya can only hope he won't remember it when he gets back to normal, getting folded into calling Osamu Dazai Papa. He made this poor child call Chuuya Mama. He hopes the werebrat eats him alive when he gets back to normal, which is unlikely considering what Chuuya has seen of him now and as a teen. Sweet, polite, and far too innocent for this life, and to be having shitty Dazai as a mentor. "With my fucking money," Chuuya mutters under his breath, watching as Dazai begins to take items out of the bag to show Atsushi. Atsushi smiles slightly at the tiger-themed items, brushing over them with his fingers. Dazai is looking at his face closely for his reactions to each thing, his lips quirked up in an imperceptible, genuine smile, and all of Chuuya's irritation drains right out of him. As much as he drives Chuuya batshit insane, he is so endearing. And Chuuya can't deny he hasn't fantasized about this, no matter how likely it is considering their line of work and their questionable mental states. Him and Dazai adopting kids. Because, yeah, Chuuya likes kids. He wants them. He just doesn't think he'll make a very good father, and he doesn't think Dazai wants to be a father at all. But parenting looks so good on him. Shit. Dazai is talking to the white-haired child very softly, knelt to his level, still with that small smile. Chuuya can't hear what he's saying, but he can't keep his eyes off of him right now, that rare tenderness in his demeanor. All through dinner, he is kind with Atsushi, helping him whenever he can, spooning out seconds onto Atsushi's plate when he notices him looking at the food with quiet longing, even though he's saying, "Tiny people should eat as much as they want, lest you turn out like your chibi mama." Now Chuuya is simultaneously very in love with him and very much wanting to murder him with a fork. Not like unusual, he guesses, but tenfold more intense at the moment. When they run out of crab and Atsushi is clearly wanting more, Dazai gives him his own piece. When Atsushi gets anxious about having dropped food on himself accidentally, apologizing in a shaky whisper, Dazai helps him clean it up calmly with a napkin. "See, it's easy to fix, Atsushi-kun? Nothing to worry about." Chuuya watches him put his small mentee to bed. Atsushi grips his finger when he gets up to leave, clutching his tiger toy and looking up at Dazai with a playful gaze. So he stays all the way until Atsushi falls asleep with his hand resting lightly on top of the silver hair. Chuuya waiting in the doorway for him with his arms folded, lounging against the frame. As soon as the door closes, there under the doorframe, Chuuya grabs Dazai by his bolo tie and the curl of an arm around the nape of his neck to pull him down to his level and kisses him hard and long, breaking it off only when he's breathless. "I'm gonna kill you later, but first, bedroom." And then Chuuya drags him over by his tie in the direction of their bedroom, Dazai stumbling after him, grinning stupidly in spite of his confusion. "For now, mama? Really, asshole?" Chuuya asks after they're both satiated and on their back. Seriously, this idiot can't be in a gay relationship and not know it's possible to have two dads? Why did one of them have to be the mama? Dazai laughs with his head thrown back, his hands on his stomach, and how can a sound be so beautiful and make Chuuya want to punch his throat out? It fits perfectly. Chuuya's always fussing over the young ones in the Port Mafia. That's why everyone calls Chuuya Mama of the Port Mafia behind his back. "What?" His voice has turned high and wild. "Fuck off, they do not!" Dazai turns his head to Chuuya. "It's true, ask anyone." He looks far too smug and confident, though Dazai could be lying and looking like that very easily. Except that Chuuya is very well versed in reading Dazai, or just all things Dazai, period. He is not lying. Since when? Chuuya sputters. You know how you were with Elise, Q, Kyoka, and the Akutagawas? Chuuya stares up at the ceiling, as if into a hollow abyss. Mama of the Port Mafia? What the fuck? What has he been doing that's made people give him that title? And then slowly it comes to him. Chuuya taking Elise out for ice cream to pacify her tantrums and kissing her scraped knees when she falls on the carpet, hugging a young Kyoka whenever she got too frantic and started crying until she stopped, holding Q's unhurt hand when he went to visit them and making sure they are being taken care of, giving Gin whatever advice she needs about things she only ever trusted Chuuya with, daily asking Akutagawa if he has taken his meds for his lung disease, taking notes of his weight and treating him to meals when he thinks he looks thinner or seems downtrodden about something, scolding him when he eats Kaiji's horrible food combinations, washing him in the hot springs because he was too on edge about any attacks to get comfortable without his clothes. Oh fuck, oh no. For what it's worth, I always thought it was very cute to see Chibi taking care of even chibier people. Dazai tells him proudly, as if he thinks he said a very good and helpful thing and it would make Chuuya feel better to hear that. Chuuya closes his eyes and tells himself inside his head, I love my husband. I don't really want to kill him. Sure, he drives me batshit crazy, but I don't really... It's okay, sweet mama. On second thoughts... Before he could turn to strangle Dazai to death, Dazai was leaning over him with his elbows on either side of him, framing Chuuya's face wholly between his long and slender fingers and catching his mouth in a slow, sweet kiss until he forgot all about wanting to strangle him to death. He melts fully under the kisses, Dazai's fingers pressing behind a little on the tender space behind his ears. Do you ever, Chuuya says, think about kids? Not really, Dazai says. Not until now. They break off the kisses and Dazai rests his forehead against his. I don't think I'll make a good father, Dazai confesses. I don't think we can even try with the life we live. But we can imagine it, right? A little you and me. You're good with Atsushi, Chuuya tells him, his fingers taking a lock of hair hanging at his temple, tucking it behind his ear. You're good with kids now, like when you have to calm them down, get them to do something in a bad situation. I've seen you. Well, Atsushi is Atsushi. Right, his little mentee, as he calls him sometimes. Chuuya guesses it's not hard to care about a smaller version of someone he already cares about. And that's different, isn't it? From raising a whole kid? It's true, it's a far-fetched dream, but it doesn't mean they can't dream, right? Chuuya smiles a little. Boy or girl? A little red-headed girl. Dazai says with a smile back. He sure sounds like he's been dreaming about this a lot. I bet you teach her to be just like you, Chuuya says, laughing. I'm just glad Atsushi's immune to your bad influence. Or she'd be like you, keeping her ridiculous dad in line. As for Atsushi, I'll get him, slowly but surely. I bet she'd be smart. With Dazai as a parent, she would be. He'd teach her a lot, about people and the world and how to deal with things, and about space and mass and the human body and all the shit Dazai gets obsessed with. Dazai is brushing his nose against Chuuya's cheek, pressing a kiss into it. I bet she'd be strong too. You'd teach her martial arts. Damn right I would, so she can kick anyone's ass. It's a harder world for a girl, right? Atsushi is sitting beside Chuuya with his blankets fisted in his tiny hands, listening to him as Chuuya is reading him a children's story. Atsushi thinks Chuuya doesn't notice how he is slowly trying to inch towards him, how he so lightly tries to press his hair into Chuuya's side without putting any weight on him at all, as if he is hoping Chuuya wouldn't notice. Chuuya, in kind, shifts as if to get comfortable and very subtly presses his side back against Atsushi. He is so starved for affection. Jesus, has this kid ever been loved? Fuck it, Chuuya thinks. It's not like the kid's gonna remember any of this anyway. It is this thought that makes Chuuya abandon all pretense. And gently, he wraps an arm around Atsushi's back and draws him in close against his ribs. This clear display of affection, of permission, makes Atsushi also abandon all pretense. He wriggles against Chuuya's side quickly, hungrily, his arms almost desperate around Chuuya's middle. Chuuya tightens his grip. It hurts looking at this kid. It hurts to see him so deprived. Chuuya brushes his fingers through Atsushi's silver hair. "You're a good kid, Atsushi," he said, softly in an almost whisper. "Anyone ever tell you that you're a good kid?" Atsushi looks up at him with wide and big eyes, and his eyes begin to water, his chin crumpling. Oh, hell. Chuuya puts the book down as Atsushi begins to cry. Shit, he's 5. A 5-year-old shouldn't be in so much pain that he cries just because someone told him he was good. Chuuya pulls him onto his lap by a grip under his arms and hugs him tightly and kisses the top of his head before resting his cheek to it, rocking them back and forth. He remembers this, comforting little children of the sheep when they were sad like this. "You'll be loved," Chuuya murmurs to him. "Okay, you'll be so loved one day, I promise. I know you're going through a lot right now, but it won't be forever. You'll find so many people who care about you, sweetheart. You'll see." He thinks of Dazai, letting himself get captured by the Mafia just to find out who put a bounty on his head, just within a month of knowing him. The next day, Dazai comes to pick Atsushi up and takes him back to the dorms for the weekend, during which he is expected to return to his original age. When Atsushi stands at the door, his tiny hands in Dazai's, he turns around suddenly, runs back across the room, and Chuuya intuitively kneels down on the ground to catch him as Atsushi throws himself at him, arms wrapped around his neck tightly. "Yeah, I'll miss you too, kid," Chuuya says, smiling, his chin to his shoulder. He doesn't know adult Atsushi, but he can't help but feel affectionate towards him now, even if Atsushi won't remember any of this, or know him so well when he's back to his grown self. Over Atsushi's shoulder, Dazai is half turned towards him, and he is smiling at Chuuya knowingly. Yes, Chuuya has grown fond of his little mentee too. When Atsushi breaks away from him after a very long time, Chuuya strokes his silver hair back. "Keep that idiot for now papa of yours in line, yeah?" Atsushi smiles. Chuuya grins back. He runs back to Dazai and takes his hand. "Say goodbye to Mama." "Goodbye, Mama," Atsushi whispers. Chuuya maintains the smile he keeps waving at Atsushi. Only when Atsushi turns around does Chuuya's smile drop fast and he raises his middle finger at Dazai. Dazai grins and then opens his mouth at him in an even more exaggerated grin, brows raising high and merry to piss him off. Oh, it pisses him off, all right. When Chuuya steps inside of the Port Mafia, he makes sure to keep himself totally casual and cool. He'll show them all he is not the mama of the Port Mafia. He greets everyone with a nod, like that of an acquaintance, deliberately not asking questions or checking in with anyone beyond a simple, "Doing okay, you guys?" He runs into Akutagawa, who nods at him in greeting and stops instinctively at the sight of him, habitually expecting the conversation that should follow. Usually here, Chuuya starts to fuss over him, asking if he's taken his meds for his lung disease, looking him over to make sure he's not getting too skinny again and he's been eating well. Today, he just walks past Akutagawa. He can feel Akutagawa's eyes on him, burning a hole in his back. "Chuuya-san?" Chuuya pauses and turns to look at him. Akutagawa coughs awkwardly, which often prompts Chuuya to ask if he should make him some green tea. "Are you alright?" Akutagawa asks. He clears his throat. "Yeah, I'm fine. Why?" Akutagawa stares at him and then shakes his head, turning away. "Nothing," he mumbles. He slips his hand in his coat pockets and walks away fast, almost as if he is embarrassed about something. Standing in the office as he waits for Mori, Elise is running around flying a doll with its head torn off, talking a mile a minute as she tells Chuuya all about her week until she trips and falls onto the carpet. Her eyes water and she looks at Chuuya expectantly. Chuuya stands rot straight with his hands clasped behind his back, eyes darting at her and back as he resists the urge to check on her. Elise starts wailing and screaming. "I'm hurt! Why aren't you running to me and kissing it better, Chuuya? Kiss it better! Kiss it better now!" Chuuya clears his throat. I'm not the mama of the Port Mafia. I'm not the mama of the Port Mafia. I'm a big bad gravity manipulator mafia executive, and I do not kiss children's scrap knees. What is happening? Mori asks as he enters the office. He sees Elise, and immediately his face takes on an expression of worry. Oh, Elise-chan, you're hurt. Let me... No! She screams. I want Chuuya to kiss it better. Chuuya stands stiffly, staring straight ahead. Mori sighs. Chuuya-kun, if you could please. Chuuya stays where he is, his cheeks hot, caught between trying to transform his reputation and following an order, as well as his weird parental instincts left over from the sheep. Chuuya-kun? Elise is staring at him with wide eyes. Why isn't he kissing it better? He always kisses it better. Her voice is shaky, her mouth turning downward in a watery pout as she glances at Mori for answers. You can't force him to, I'm afraid, Elise-chan. Come here, I'll give you a hug. Elise runs to Mori and hugs him, all the while glaring wetly at Chuuya. Chuuya tries desperately to suppress his guilt. What did you want to speak of, boss? That evening, he has a very unexpected visitor in his executive office. Nakahara-san, Atsushi says, bowing to him deeply. Chuuya's fine. Chuuya tells him stiffly, trying very hard not to remember the tiny child he held in his arms and bathed and fed and took care of not a day ago. He is not the mama of the Port Mafia, or anyone's mama. Fuck Dazai and everyone who ever said that. Chuuya figures Atsushi might be wanting to ask what happened when he was de-aged, but why didn't Dazai fill him in with the gist of it? Atsushi nods and swallows, nervous. And there's something else. Chuuya-san, he says softly. I remember. Chuuya's brain screeches to a halt. Oh, is all he manages, red with mortification. Ah, well. Oh, you look very embarrassed. Atsushi holds his hands out, frantic. Damn it, did you have to point it out? No, please, I didn't mean... Chuuya-san, His voice croaks. I came to say thank you. Atsushi looks like he is about to cry, and Chuuya remembers him, no longer able to not. The little boy that stared at him with wide, terrified eyes, surrounded by broken ceramic. The little boy that began to cry as he lowered his face to the floor, so imprinted with a broken childhood where someone taught him that he was not a person, that he was worthless. The little boy that apologized too much for being a kid, for making mistakes that mean nothing. The little boy that creeped close to him in perfectly practiced silence, trying not to be noticed, and so hungry to be held. The little boy that cried because someone told him something as simple as that he was good. I came to say thank you, Atsushi says, quieter, his eyes red-rimmed. That's all. Thank you for being kind to me. I know I was a really annoying and horrible kid. Thank you for being kind to me anyway. You weren't. Chuuya cuts him off, his fast and shaky speaking, staring him right in the eyes. I don't know who told you that, but you really weren't. Atsushi blinks, staring at him wide-eyed, as if that was not a response he was expecting. Chuuya looks away, eyes traversing, uneasy. When I said you were a good kid, Chuuya says after a while, I meant it, okay? I mean, you were a little too good, actually. He looks at Atsushi. You should have gotten to just be a kid. Atsushi looks down at his feet, his eyes as if entranced in some tender memory. I appreciate that. I remember feeling comforted. I remember feeling hopeful about my life for the very first time, and like someone did care about me. You and Dazai-san. Good. That's good. Chuuya nods. He doesn't know what to say. Yeah. Atsushi smiles awkwardly. I should go. I've already taken too much of your time. It's not a problem, Chuuya says, waving it away dismissively. Atsushi makes his way to the door and stops, and then he turns around hesitantly, fidgeting. Would it be really weird and out of line if I hug you? Chuuya stares at him, sort of in shock at the unexpected question. Yeah, sorry, Atsushi says quickly, shaking his head, laughing at himself and scratching the back of his head. Yeah, that's definitely weird and out of line. He begins to turn around. You can, Chuuya manages because, yeah, it is kind of weird when Atsushi is older, but Chuuya also kind of already feels like he's adopted that kid too regardless, so yeah, you can. Atsushi smiles. Chuuya remembers that smile on a much younger and rounder face. Atsushi comes up to him and very, very gently, just like a child hoping not to be noticed, wraps his arms around Chuuya's upper back, leaning down to rest his chin to his shoulder. No one has ever taken care of me before, Atsushi tells him softly. Definitely not like that. I'll never forget it. If Chuuya sits there in his office chair with a strange, heavy feeling in his throat long after Atsushi is gone, no one needs to know. In the next 5 minutes, Chuuya is storming down the corridors to Akutagawa's working space. He blasts the doors open with a bang, wild-eyed. Akutagawa, have you taken your meds? He is tired of pretending. Damn right he is the mama of the Port Mafia. Fucking what about it? Akutagawa spins around wide-eyed. If Chuuya didn't know any better, he might have thought he looked something like relieved, and quickly, within a split second, schools his face into his usual reserve and calm. His fingers come to his mouth as he coughs, eyes closed. Very solemnly, almost too much, he answers. Yes, Chuuya-san, I've taken my meds for the day. Damn it, why are there so many kids starved for affection and care? And have you been eating properly? I haven't seen you in days, so you better have been taking care of yourself, Ryunosuke Akutagawa. Yes, and I have been eating 3 meals a day, Chuuya-san. Chuuya is already looking him up and down. Yeah, well, you look too skinny. Dinner at my place tonight. You and Gim both, got it? Akutagawa nods. We'll be there. Green tea? From the office of the ADA, someone is watching all of this play out on a computer screen via a live security camera footage. You bandage-wasting device, why aren't you working? And what is this stupid, ridiculous face you're making? Kurikida yells at Dazai, fists clenched. Dazai shoos him away, one hand under his jaw. Not now, Kanikida-kun. I'm watching my husband and 2 kids. What? Welcome back, everyone. I missed you so much. April was such a plethora of work and no breaks, and I can't tell you how glad I am to finally have time to record and edit again. Like, last month was so freaking bleak since I couldn't do things I actually enjoy. This fic was my introduction to the concept of Mama Chuuya, and let me tell you, I found out that I enjoy the heck out of it. Chuuya having a parental side makes so much sense, and the fic perfectly encapsulates SKK's hectic dynamic for me, so that's a plus. Overall, you did a wonderful job, alexmeg, and I can't thank you enough for giving me permission to podfic this. When I tell y'all how hard it was to make a suitable thumbnail for this video, Bones rarely draws child Atsushi and Chuuya rarely looks anything other than pissed. That's without putting into account that these two never even interacted in canon. Anything hardly fit the fic's concept or its vibe. Like, I tried my best. Stay tuned for next week's update for the not-so-perfect pair. 2 chapters at once too, so that's exciting. So thank you so much for listening, everyone. I hope that was a nice comeback after this long-ass break. And I'll see you next time.